One of the key parts of making a signature ring is that it needs to include or show your signature or your mark or logo. In this video, I'll show you why it's important to have a known reference point for importing one model into another. And I'm going to use my logo file as an example. Now, you don't have to do this or use this approach, but it does make things much easier for importing a logo or any other object for that matter, and then placing it exactly into your design, as you can see here. Let's go to the project file that I use for my logo, and you'll see what I mean. As part of the Signature Ring project, you need to develop your own logo or mark or signature. You know, the kind of thing that you see stamped on jewelry that's really tiny, but shows the identity of the maker or the brand. This is my logo that I've developed for all my projects, and it's the one I import into all the models I design. You can see it's made of circles for the C and straight lines for the K. Now, I won't go into how I constructed the logo. You will likely have some combination of initials of some kind for yours, and that's totally up to you. Now, as I hover over it, the snapping points become visible. Notice that when I hover near the circular curves that this center snapping point is highlighted. Notice also how this point is directly on the origin, and that's the way I created this logo file. That's very useful because when I import this sketch into another project, it will import directly onto the origin, and it's good to know that the center of my logo will import to a known point, which is also the origin. Now, if you make the origin the reference point for all imported files, you'll know exactly where they are, and it will be easier to move them around. For a circular ring project, this is especially helpful, and you'll see that soon. Notice this is only a sketch, there are no bodies. And I've renamed the sketch to Sketch CK so that it imports with that name as well. Let's say that you have your logo sketch ready to go, and you've located it on or around the origin. To create a file that you can import into another project, select Export to, and then select Shapr3D. Choose a location and save the file. Now let's make a new project. We'll start our ring project here. Let's make a sketch and choose the top plane. Draw a circle for your ring. I'll make mine an inside diameter of 20 millimeters. Yours might be bigger or smaller than that. Then use the offset command, and I'm going to use an offset for this ring of 2 millimeters. This is more of a solid, chunky design. Rotate to get a perspective view. Then I'll extrude up the ring section 10 millimeters. And there's a basic ring. Now, before we go too much further, let's import our logo file. We're doing this early in the process so that you can see how useful it can be to import other items into your project. Navigate to Import to Current Project. Search for your logo file. Shapr3D imports the file and places it directly on the origin, right in the middle of the ring. Now, that's convenient. From here, I can move it around a known point. Select the sketch and click Move Rotate. Now, before we move it, zoom in and take a careful look at what's going on here. This dot is the center of all these moving operations. We need to move that to our origin because that's where the center of our logo is, and we want to move everything from a known point. We can move that control point to the origin. Now all move operations will happen relative to the origin. We'll rotate the logo 90 degrees and then move it up a bit. Now it's clearly too big for the ring, so I need to scale it down. Exit the sketch and then click Scale. Now again, something very important to watch here. I need to move this control point to the center of my logo so that I scale this logo relative to the center of the logo. I'll grab the control point and move towards the outer circle. Watch how the control point snaps to the center. Now I can drag this scale tool down to resize the logo, and it will do so relative to the center of the logo. Now that looks about right. I'd like this to be visible, of course, but small and elegant. We can now project the logo onto the inside of the ring. I'll deselect it and then use the Project tool to project the sketch. Then select the inside of the ring and click Done. Now, since this is an inside circle, the sketch is projected to both sides, giving me one reverse image. And I'll quickly delete those projected lines as I only need one projection and I don't need a backwards version of it. Hold the Shift key down as you select the sketch lines and then press Delete. I'll just quickly zoom through that. Now that looks kind of okay, but I'd like to adjust the position. Select the sketch and then click Move Rotate. I'll move the control point onto the blue Z-axis, as I know this lines up with the origin. And now when I move the logo, the projection moves with it. That's cool, huh? And that looks about right. I'll exit the sketch. Now I can select this region and extrude it into the ring. If I change the radius to 10.4, the region will extrude into the wall of the ring 0.4 millimeters. And there it is, a basic signature ring. It's not that special right now, but we're just getting started. In further videos, we'll add more detail and explore a few more techniques. And we'll also import another project file into the ring using our golden spiral project. And that's going to look pretty cool, so make sure you get subscribed to see that. And if you found this video helpful, then hit the like button, leave a comment or question, and consider subscribing for more tutorials like this one. See you next time.